And Lisa, your reaction, nearly $1 billion being awarded in this case.
I did not see that coming. I didn't see that number. If I was just using a summary of what happened in Texas with 49 million between two people, I would keep it in that ballpark. But these are people who are in Connecticut who have been suffering for years because of what Alex Jones did. I mean, for years, seeing it on the internet, seeing it on his show, hearing from people over and over on social media, they just could not get away from it. And as I said before, this went on immediately after the event and continued all the way up until this trial. So the whole past and future emotional suffering makes perfect sense in all of this, but there was no way I could have predicted that number.
I don't know if anybody could, other than Philip, who seemed to. And Lisa, with each of these plaintiffs being awarded huge amounts, but different amounts, how is it that the jury comes up with each number, do you think? And just quickly here.
Yes, listening to all of the various testimony from these family members, from the FBI agent who needed to have psychological help afterward, and his department did not give that to him. So the suffering did continue for these people. So I think it was based on what the jury saw as they watched the testimony of each person.
Lisa, I want to bring you in here. What surprised you about this verdict, if anything?
The dollar amount surprised me. I expected that it would be high based on what happened in Texas, 49 million split between two people. So again, I thought the ballpark was going to be in the 20s, maybe 30s, depending case by case, how people suffered during the last 10 years that it took this trial to get to court. We talked about the past suffering, the future suffering, and each person was awarded differently. One as high as 120 million, the next highest was 90 million that was awarded. So I'm thinking maybe in the law of averages, they looked at this took place over a decade. So all the past pain, there probably was a number that the jurors had in mind of how much each person deserved on the two counts for the emotional distress and also for the defamation and slander, and kind of split it up between those years as a way that they calculated what these victims deserved.
All right, that was both the plaintiff's closing argument and then the defense's closing argument. Lisa, let's start with you here. I want to get your reaction first to the plaintiff's closing argument. That was Christopher Mattei. He was getting emotional talking about one of these children who was killed in this horrible, horrible tragedy. How important was it for him to remind the jurors about the real victims in this case?
I have chills listening to it, obviously seeing the pictures over and over again of the family, the educators who were lost, the 20 children whose lives were taken away, and knowing how much not even knowing, I don't know how much they suffered. It had to be awful, but just guessing what they're going through, and then having Alex Jones on his pulpit calling it a hoax, calling it a scam, a false flag, over and over again in the news. And this went on and on and on. It went on for several years before he started to recant. So it went as far as up to 6 years of him instilling that story to the public, making tons of money, telling people this thing took place was a complete hoax. And now to sit here and watch this whole tirade about being on Megyn Kelly, that upsets me even more because, again, he says she's lying on him. These families were reaching out to the media to try and stop Alex Jones in his tracks, and it took them 10 years to do that. That's why they were on television shows, to talk about what was happening and how they were affected by Alex Jones' words and his platform that he used to continue to hurt these families.